Hi, my name is Rebecca Thompson Hitt. I'm a marriage and family therapist working with families and around the world. And I am here with my dear friend and colleague, Sarah Bingham. Hi, Sarah.
Guys, nutritionist, been around for a long time in Tampa, help people heal their bodies with food. And that's my passion.
Yeah. So we teamed up because of the whole COVID-19 epidemic, and we see how families are really being thrown into chaos. And it's also a wonderful opportunity. Some of it is that we're all kind of closed in together. And so those behaviors that we might have been able to navigate, because it was only a short period of time, the kids were in school, we weren't all together all day long or trying to work. In some families, the behaviors are really kind of getting big and loud. And the patterns of the ways that we have coped in the past don't work when it's all day long. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about behavior issues that you might be seeing in your kids. And then Sarah is going to talk about food and how that can support behavior as well. She's also going to talk about some nutrients and supplements and amino acids. So we've got some good stuff for you today, hopefully that you will find very helpful. So when kids go through, and adults too, honestly, all of this pertains to us as adults, okay?
Big kids.
So, right, we're just big kids. So, but recognizing that it's normal when there are lots and lots of changes. Some kids have a really hard time with transitions. We just went through a really big unexpected transition in a lot of different ways. And so for some kids, that's going to come out in their behavior. I don't know what just happened. I don't have words for what all of this is, but all of a sudden everything is different, even for really young kids. And so it's really important that we acknowledge that, and that some of the behaviors that we're going to be seeing during this time might be other behaviors that they'd had before, but it might feel like it's a lot bigger or it's happening more frequently. But again, I want you to think about, from your child's perspective, what just changed? From your child's perspective, what just happened? And I want you to go back into the sequence of what was going on, what was their life like, and then what was the first thing that changed? And then what was the second thing that changed? And what was the next thing that changed? You might want to do it for yourself first. Whoa, okay. I had a young adult client, and he was saying he was away at school, and on Thursday, he was planning a trip with his girlfriend. They were going to be leaving on Saturday to go on a trip. And on Thursday night, they closed the borders to that country. On Friday, he got an email from his college saying that his college was closed for the rest of the year and he needed to go home. Friday night, he booked a plane ticket, and Saturday morning, he was on a plane going back home. And so the sequence of things was really small. And I just give you that example because it happened in a lot of our lives. And for our kids, we were at school. I've got a bunch of clients who they were homesick, or they were, they took the day off for whatever reason. And then they closed school, and that was it. Like, there was no transition. There was no saying goodbye. It was just, okay, now I'm not in school anymore. So really think about what that's been like for your child from your child's perspective, and tell that story. And the more that you can right now, connect with your child and ignore the behavior. Ignore the behavior, not the child. So if they're having a big meltdown over something, go and be with them if you can. It's not ignoring them, and just recognizing they're having a hard time. You might also be having a hard time, so say that. We're all having a hard time right now. This is hard. And we're going to get through this. And I'm going to make room for your feelings. Now, if you haven't had that experience yourself, that's hard. So I want to also say that. Don't think that, if you can't do it, it's okay. But even coming back later and saying, yeah, you were having a really hard time, but there have been so many changes that have happened, and those feelings need to go somewhere. So the more that you can validate and normalize this kind of thing right now, the better. This is these are symptoms of a stressed out child, a stressed out family. That some kids do better with change than others. I've got some of my clients are like, no, I'm good. I do really well with change. I like change. I like that it's different now. And then I've got other, like, especially younger kids, but not all of them, but I've got younger clients, younger kids who are really, really having a hard time right now with the changes. And I have just as many parents who are having a hard time because of all the changes. And so really recognizing that, and then recognizing we're all interacting with one another. And in some families, it's interacting a lot more than you used to. And now having to figure out how you're going to work and cook and do all of these things. It's slowing it down and taking a breath and just acknowledging it's all different and we're all figuring it out. And let's find ways that we can work together to get these things done. And I had a 14-year-old client yesterday who said, I don't mind. I mean, I see my parents are really stressed. There's a lot of stress. I get that. And she said, but we're really not having any fun together right now as a family. And so she said, I'm going to bring it up again and say, what can we all do together that's fun? And so I want to just end my part with this. What can you do that's fun? What can you do that's play? Play is also a great tool. That's where our kids express and where we can be with them and, watch their themes, because it might be about sick people. It might be about hospitals. It might be about, those kinds of things are going to creep into their play. So being with them in that, but then having time for fun, just having time to be together and do silly things. And, the things that you normally would have been doing with your kids, ramp those up. What are the things that everybody loves, everybody enjoys? Do more of that. Sneak it in there, because our kids need that too. We all need that stress relief.
Absolutely. And so many of us have been taught, when under a whole lot of stress, to just put a lid on it. Right? And that's a very common response. It's just put a lid on it. And what I love about what you're saying is, acknowledge that it's hard, and love is the first impulse, is sit, hold your loved ones and say, yeah, this is hard. Acknowledge. There's no need for a lid. You don't have to be perfect, and your kid sure isn't going to be perfect. So, it's that kind of thing that I love about how Rebecca works with people. Always the base note is love. So, and acceptance. All right. So, yeah, meanwhile, you got this kid. Yeah, it's got some behavior issues, or you have a spouse with behavior issues. Kids are easier in some ways because you can control a lot more. But so under stress, obviously the behavior issues are going to be more. Duh. For sure, if you have worked with Rebecca, if you have worked out the environmental issues, the system issues around behavior, and you're just still seeing this behavior stuff, I want you to look into the family history on both sides. If you're seeing a lot of addiction, alcoholism, depression, anxiety, stuff like that, then, and I see this all the time, with my clients, if you've got a history of that, well, so does your child. And it means that your child, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people that come from an addictive background and people that come from a non-addictive background. So my non-addictive background, I could just say, I'm not eating sugar anymore, and I could will myself into that. People who come biochemically, and what I'm talking about is biochemistry. If you chose the wrong parents, no, I'm sorry, but if you ended up with a family heritage of it's a biochemical heritage, and we've proven this. This isn't just me, dreaming this up. We know that there are people who biochemically are more prone to anxiety and depression, and usually a lot. Addiction goes with that, and it can be addiction to sugar, it can be addiction to alcohol, it can be addiction to pretty much anything. It can be OCD behavior. These are all symbols of a biochemical imbalance. This is biochemistry. And so I just got frustrated with this, watching people whose mental health is really messed up because they shame themselves and feel like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just stop? Why can't I just use my mind, and just make this go away? And I was like, no, you can't, because your biochemistry is out of whack. So I have studied, amino acids, and there are certain amino acids. Here are some, let me know if this rings true. If you're low, if your body is not metabolizing tryptophan very well, then you're not producing serotonin. And serotonin is kind of like your sunshine nutrient. It creates positive outlook. It creates flexibility, emotional self-confidence, a sense of humor. It's what Rebecca was talking about. Yeah, we can be rigid, but we don't have to be OCD. And when you're OCD, that's a sign that, oh, oops, you don't have enough tryptophan running around in your body. You're not processing it right. If you're obsessive, if you worry all the time, if you have low self-esteem, if you have panic attacks, if you can't go to sleep at night, if you're a night owl, these are all classic symptoms of a body that's not metabolizing tryptophan. So when a client comes to me with this, we supplement with tryptophan. And the beauty is, it's part of amino acids. This is a natural substance. And the other beauty is that it only takes, people are different, but 3-6 months, maybe even a year, depending on the person. And then all of a sudden the brain reboots, and you just don't need it anymore unless there's another, until and when there's another huge stress. Because you come from a neurologically, that's your weak suit in your body. Not all of us have a neurologically weak suit. We have, weak suits of your gut's not great, your muscles aren't great, your bones aren't great, whatever it is. We all have our biochemical weak suits. So if you know that, that's great. And if you're craving sugar and you just cannot get off it, glutamine is an amino acid that I use, and it's phenomenal. There's many other amino acids. One of the biggest ones for anxiety is GABA, GABA. That is a neurotransmitter that helps create the neurotransmitter for calmness, relaxation. It's your chill pill.
I think a lot of people might need that right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of need for GABA right now. And typically when my clients take GABA, I can just watch them. They just go, wow, wow, that feels really good. Yeah, I really like that. That's really nice. So just know that, and there is a fabulous book. I'll put that in my resource section in my website, which is fastfoodhealing.com. If you get on and join my PhD club, which stands for Prioritize Health Daily, I'll have a resource. My teacher has been Julia Ross, who's a psychotherapist from out in the San Francisco area, and she's done this for decades. And I have worked with clients with this, and it's just phenomenal work. And it's a release. It sets you free. You don't, and your child does not, an irritable child is an unhealthy child. And that's really it. That's how I look at it. A child that doesn't want to eat doesn't feel good. There's something wrong with their gut. So when you have children that are not behaving well, they either have too many toxins in their body, they are deficient in stuff. They can, on Rebecca's side, be in a system that is just not healthy psychologically. But these are the reasons. And you just don't have to live with it. You just don't. So here are some, those are some of the things. And many of our children are nutritionally deficient, so that's why I focus on food a lot. But there's a lot of nutritional stuff you can do. The omega-3s are very important for a calm, well-functioning brain, all kinds of stuff. So more than anything, I just wanted to let you know it's not your fault. It has to do with really looking at and pursuing getting your child healthier. And it can be absolutely profound. So we'll leave you with this. Do you have any final thoughts, Rebecca, for these folks?
Yeah, I was just also thinking about, you know, if the whole family takes on this journey, or if mom or dad or whoever is partner, whoever is leading the way for the family, if they also do it, what I keep hearing is that the parents recognize that they weren't feeling well. And so,
It's always the case. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And so, oh, gee, I was just talking to a client. Uh, she just lost a baby. She's having a really hard time recovering. I said, do you come from a family where anxiety and depression are, part of the gig? And she goes, my father, I'm just my father's kid. And exactly. And so this is what I see over and over again. So her father struggled. Well, guess what? She's going to struggle. And so it's not that she's not using her will to get over it. It's that biochemically she's set up that under stress, it's going to be very, very difficult for her to climb out of that without a helping hand. So
right.
I'll be helping her with aminos. So
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with getting help.
no,
And, you know, and actually it can be so much better. And we're not set. We may be set up in some ways to have these predispositions and all of that, but that doesn't mean that that is the way that it has to be, or that there's no way to shift it. So I think it's also really important for us to recognize that too. We're not stuck with it.
no, ma'am. And yep, it's just part of your journey, and you can pursue it and get through it and heal yourself. So yay, and heal your child. So
That's right. That's right.
all right. Thank you, Rebecca. And stay tuned for our third part of this series, which will be dealing with the actual opportunity of this ridiculous situation we're all in.
That's
Ciao.
right. Yes. Ciao.